Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 26 is just about a day or so away at this point. Maybe it's out by the time you're watching this video, but I wanted to help you prepare to update for just peace of mind to make sure everything's ready to go in the background so you can experience all the latest features. Now, the first thing is the supported devices. This time around, Apple has dropped support for the iPhone XR, XS, and XS Max. So if you have a XS Max, you won't be able to install this update. However, there should be some updates that you can install, such as iOS 18.7, and hopefully we'll get support well into 2026 for older devices as well, and beyond, depending on which device you have. So you won't have the latest features on the XR, XS, and XS Max, but again, you can expect some updates from there. Now, if you're on the iOS 26 betas and you want to maybe update to the iOS 26 public version, I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Now, along with this, Apple is going to update a lot of different things this time around. They're releasing iOS 26, iPadOS 26, watchOS 26, tvOS 26, HomePodOS 26, macOS 26, visionOS 26, and as I mentioned before, iOS 18.7, and some updates with security updates and more for older devices as well. Now, the first thing I suggest that you do if you're going to install this update is probably plug it into a device to back it up, or you can use an iCloud backup. So I typically recommend that you have a backup so you can do it manually, plug it into your device, and then go ahead and back it up to either a Windows computer using iTunes or a Mac using Finder. You can do that manually. However, the easier way, and especially if you ordered maybe an iPhone 17, 17 Air or iPhone Air, iPhone 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max, Apple typically gives you extra iCloud storage so that you can back everything up and prepare to install it on that device as well. So you may already see that appear in your settings where it'll say get ready for your next device, and then you can create a backup here. So if you're backing it up to iTunes, you'll already just click the button and do that, or Finder on the Mac. But on the iPhone, what you'll want to do is go into your account at the top. Now scroll down until you get to iCloud. Once you're in iCloud, this is a little bit better than last year, seeing all of the different data we have, but you can see that we have iCloud backup. I backed it up 1 second ago, but if we want to back it up again, just tap on backup, and you can back up over Wi-Fi or cellular. So depending on what kind of connection you have, you can just back it up here. Cellular, of course, may have limits, so you may want to make sure you have enough data available, but either way, you can back it up here. After you've done that, everything that's backed up can be found here. So you'll see it now says saved to iCloud. If we go into this, and if you have these enabled, every single one of these is going to be backed up, from messages in iCloud, all of your notes, health application or health data, fitness data. Down here, you can see other apps installed with shortcuts and books and everything else, as well as third-party apps, including WhatsApp. So many people are concerned about their messages. Make sure that's enabled, and it should back that up as well. So anything from Instagram. Now, you may need to log back into these if there was an issue, but typically this will back up all of your data so that it's safe. So this just lets you know exactly what's backing up, and so that you're good to go. So once you have that backed up, now if you experienced maybe a lot of different issues when you were using iOS 18, you can always try and reset your settings. And I don't mean wipe the phone and start over. You can actually reset a few different settings. Now, I wouldn't recommend this unless you're having issues, but if we go back to the main page of settings, back within the main page of settings, if we go to General and then scroll to the bottom, we can go to Transfer or Reset iPhone. Now, reset is just for settings. We don't want to erase content in settings. We want to make sure that that information stays on the phone. But if we go to reset, you have the option, if you're having issues, to reset network settings, keyboard dictionary, handwriting style, home screen layout, or location and privacy. Sometimes resetting things such as network settings can resolve issues people are having with connecting to Wi-Fi and networks. However, again, I would only recommend this if you're having issues and you will need to re-enter some information. So if we go to reset all settings, we can put in our passcode. Once we've put in our passcode, you'll have multiple warnings, so you don't do this by mistake, but it says this will reset all settings and your Apple Pay cards, keys, and passes will be removed. No data or media will be deleted. So again, you may have to re-enter some of the information or re-add your cards, but this sometimes can help. I would not recommend this to everyone though. So just keep that in mind, as it's something you could do if you are having a lot of odd issues. Now, another thing you want to make sure about is how much storage you have. You want to make sure you have enough in order to install the update, and you can find that storage by going into Settings, then General, and then iPhone Storage. Here you'll see your total storage. In this case, it's 1 terabyte, and I'm using 80 gigabytes, but typically plan on about 20 gigabytes or so in order to install the update over the air. So as long as you have enough storage, 20 gigabytes, you're good to go. If you don't, you'll want to review large attachments and also review some of these applications. You may want to consider offloading the application if you don't have enough storage, maybe removing an application that you could come back to later that's taking up a few gigabytes. For example, maybe a game that you don't play a lot, maybe iMovie. Uninstall it, reinstall it if you need it again, and just go through everything just to make sure you have enough data. But typically it will overwrite iOS, so it won't take up additional storage. It will just take up that much storage to install the update and then remove the file after the fact. So if we go into iOS, you'll see Apple Intelligence, since it's enabled on this phone, is taking up some storage along with iOS for a total of 18.66 gigabytes. So just keep in mind it overwrites that. It doesn't stack on top of that once it's installed. So that should help free up some storage. Just make sure you review that if you need to. You'll also want to make sure that you have plenty of battery charge when you go to install the update. Now, typically I recommend around 50% or more in order to install the update, although you can install it with less at this point. But typically I recommend that because after it installs that update, it's going to have to process a lot of information in the background. And if maybe you're out and not able to charge at that point, you'll want to make sure that you have enough battery to get home to where you could charge and be good to go after that. So if you have closer to 100%, or the higher it is, the better at this point. After you install the update, expect battery life to be fairly bad for a couple of days, and then it will improve as time goes on and it finishes processing in the background. But again, just make sure that you have enough so that you can get through the day, but typically around 50%. But if you have a charger nearby, you're good to go either way. Now, as far as how to update, typically I recommend updating over the air for most people, and some people really like to update using iTunes on Windows or using Finder on the Mac, but I typically just go into my settings, go to General, and then Software Update. Check for the update here, and then you can actually update directly from your software update. It will install, and then reboot the phone and install it that way. Some people prefer, again, to do this manually on a Mac or Windows computer. That's fine, but I haven't really found any advantage to it unless you're having major problems. Finally, if you're on a beta and you're wondering if you should turn it off now or what you should do in order to get the final version, well, we don't really know 100% until Apple actually releases it. But typically you'll want to just turn off the beta, and since this releases on Monday, or maybe it's out by the time you're watching this, just go into your settings, General, and then Software Update if you're already running iOS 26 betas or RC, and turn this off. Once it's off, if there's another update with a new build, it will show up. If there's not, you already have the update. The iOS 26 release candidate, or RC, is the final version unless there's additional issues. I suspect there will be another build number just because there are a few bugs here and there, and they'll need to work through that. Of course, you don't have to install the update right away. You can wait and see if there's complaints over the few days that it's out, or you can try it out right away. If you really want the most stable experience, you may want to wait until iOS 26.1, which is usually about a month or so away. But either way, hopefully that helps you get peace of mind getting ready to install iOS 26, and I think the overall update is pretty nice. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, and I have a full video coming out for that as well, going over every new feature, how you can try out all the new features, the new liquid glass look, and everything else. Let me know what you think of iOS 26 in the comments below if you're looking forward to it, and of course I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you.